Titus 2 Ministries presents Family Matters. My name is Evangeline Johnson, your humble host, and I'm so glad you're here. If you're here for the first time, thank you for joining in. Thank you for watching. If you've watched the past videos, thank you for watching and hanging in there with me. If you've subscribed, whoop, whoop, whoop. Thank you. I appreciate you. And I want to ask those who have not to like, subscribe, ring the bell so that you'll get notifications when a new video comes out. I appreciate that. And then also in the comments have been lovely and I appreciate it. In the comments, if you have suggestions of topics moving forward, feel free to put those in the comments and we'll look at those and see what we need to do to make it happen. All right. Hope you all are gaining something from the information, not just from the last video, but all of the videos that you've heard. Hopefully it's allowed you to think of ways to spark conversation in your own family. And so sometimes conversation can be hard. That's why we're actually calling this Family Matters, looking at it from both angles. Number one, family does matter to God. But number two, family has issues. Family matters. Issues in the family that sometimes need to be addressed and talked about. And sometimes those conversations can be hard to begin. So hopefully if you've got a tough conversation, hopefully something is said during these videos that you can bring a family member on and say, let's watch this, and it can maybe help you bring up or a topic that may be difficult. So just an idea. But I do want to thank my brothers for coming on. Once again, thank them for doing this for me. I'm called to be vulnerable and have all my business out there. I'm called to that, but they're not necessarily. But they did that for me, and I appreciate that, because today in part two, we're going to have some real conversation. You'll find out family things that other families probably go through and have dealt with, but it's not talked about much, and so you'll hear about it. So that's a part of the family conversation, the family talk with my brothers. And as you've also gathered by now, my situation is a bit different. I was born an only child to my parents, Betty Lee Stewart and William Robert King. But I've often said, as you all know, my mother passed away when I was 9. And I've often said that if they had other children, if my parents had other children, it's no way I could love them any more than I love my brothers, than I love my sister, than I love my siblings. It's no way. Absolutely no way. I love them to infinity and beyond. Let's put it like that. And so I do appreciate them and want to give a shout out to them. They've kept me grounded through the years. And even as teens, I will mention this and before we dive into the video. When I was a teenager, I was tempted to start smoking. And I went to the twins and told them, I'm going to start smoking. I'm going to get me a pack of cigarettes and I'm just getting ready to do this thing. I thought it looked cool. I'm going for the look is what, it looks cool. I'm going to do that. And they told me, no, you're not. As a matter of fact, you're not. And I actually respected what they said. Yeah, I'm a little bit older, but I still valued what they thought, their opinion, and I didn't. And I'm grateful because I've heard of the beast that that addiction can have on you, and I am so grateful. Oh yeah, God has had to deliver me from some other things, but that one, thanks to God first and my brothers, I didn't go that route, and I appreciate them. That's just one of the ways. I just wanted to throw that in there. That's just one of the ways. But yeah, and you know, I got to thinking. I said, in our culture, if you are, typically you'll hear it a lot of times more in our culture. If you're raised with family members, you'll take on that. That's my brother. That's my sister. And actually, as I was thinking about that, this past week I heard a white gentleman talking about raising his niece, and says she gains sisters because he has children, and says she gains sisters because her mother had passed away when she was little, and he and his wife are raising her with his daughters, and he was mentioning, so she gains sisters. And I said, oh wow. I said, I hadn't heard that much in the white families, but more so in our culture, in the African American culture. You know, I hear that. We'll hear that often. I have other friends who, you know, they'll say, "That's my sister. That's my brother," and just simply because they were raised in that household with them. And so that's I just wanted to make it clear, because I don't want anybody scratching their head. We gonna, I told you, we keep it real, we keep it transparent. I want all the information on the table. But I again appreciate my brothers. We're gonna dive in and let you all get to it. But we're gonna have a word of prayer first. Dear God, we thank you for your goodness and your mercy toward us. Thank you for allowing us to come together once again just to talk about family, because we do know that family matters to you. God, I want you to be honored in what you hear. God, honored in what we do. Lord God, let someone who is listening get something, Lord God, that they can benefit from, that their family can be blessed by. Lord God, move in everyone who hears this video, everyone who watches this video. Help them to be motivated to see that you can persevere through tough and hard times. Lord, we thank you for everything you've done for us, for your faithfulness in our lives. You've been good to us. You've never failed us. And God, we thank you. It is in Jesus' name we pray. Amen and amen. God bless you, and enjoy part 2, Family Talk with my brothers. We all grew up without our fathers playing a significant role in our lives. How has that shaped you?
Ooh, that's a good one. That was rough. We was 5 years old, living on Nelson. I remember, you know, my parents was together up until we was 5, I guess, something like that. I might have that age wrong, somewhere around 6. there. 6. We on Nelson Avenue, out East End. My father had went to the Marines or whatever, and when he came back, he was drinking. You know, he seen a lot of death and stuff like that. So for whatever reason, we was kids and we couldn't understand it. But he came back drinking, an alcoholic basically, and his behavior changed. You know, when he get that oil in him. So moms, you know, she tried to put up with it, and we was kids. I mean, my father, the only whooping I remember my father ever giving us is with a magazine on our behind. That was probably 1 or 2 licks. He was never whooped us. I mean, moms will tear you up, but that's a whole other. But anyway, without my father, so my mother, she decided at some point, you know, she had kids to raise. She loved us and she loved him, but they couldn't deal with each other with him drinking. So she decided to pack us up and she moved. So we moved to East End, 301B, Yemen Drive. Here's her mother and with those kids, and she took all of us and she moved us out of that house, you know, like that, on her own into the projects. And the projects is rough, it's the hood. And when they say the hood, it's the hood. So we went there and it was devastating. So when they split, as a kid, you don't understand. I remember the feeling I said, Mama, we'll be good, we'll be good. We thought they split up because we was being bad. And I was like, Mama, I remember telling them, we'll be good, just take them back, you know, like, let's go back, you know, whatever. But I didn't understand, but she had to move on for us, to help us. And it was devastating. Without a father, there's wolves, sharks in the water, like that. There's things, moms have to work. So even in the projects, moms, if she has to work, we gotta have babysitters. We have babysitters, and she's thinking somebody's watching us. They over there bringing boyfriends to the house. They over there smoking weed in her house she didn't know nothing about. So things are happening that a parent does not know. So if you have kids, you have to watch your kids. You have people that try to fondle or touch or molest your kids. You have all kind of things going on. You gotta watch your kids. You can't trust everybody around your kids, but the point is, she had to work and the protector was gone out of the house. You know what I'm saying? If 4 eyes are better than 2. If he's gone, they divorced. She's trying to put food on the table, so she got to work. We out there with the wolves. It was not easy. It was not easy. So, you know, she did what she did until we was the age of 14, and the projects got so bad, it was like she had to take another step. I mean, a strong black woman. She had to take another step and say, hey, we moving. And she took us and moved us out into Titus Creek at 14 years old. But she had to make some crucial steps. But without a father's everything. A father's everything. And I ain't saying all fathers are good, and I ain't saying all mothers are good. But if you got, it kind of helped me because with my kids, I'm like, I'm going to be there for my kids. You know, it made me be there. And, but at the same time, sometimes you can give your kids too much, you know what I'm saying? You don't want them to suffer some of the things you suffer, so we gave them too much. And I see this generation has been given too much. They don't appreciate life. They don't appreciate things. And I'm just as guilty, but I didn't know no better. So without a father, I didn't know how to really be a father. I didn't know how to be a family man. I did the best I could. I had to wing it. When other kids was talking about their fathers in school, I had to like make up stories. My father's this, my father's that. He's tough, you know. And I had to pretend my father was something that he wasn't to save face as a kid, because I would see my father, he's stumbling down the street drunk, you know what I'm saying? And it was like an embarrassment of shame. And not to say I didn't love him, I loved him, but people are cruel, and it made me just be ashamed of his actions when he got alcohol in his system, you know what I'm saying? If that makes sense. But I never stopped loving him, but it made distance between us. And like I said, raising my kids, I had to wing it. I had to listen to what people say on the street or make decisions that I thought was right that I just didn't know. You know, I had to wing it. Like I said, so a father's everything. A father's a very important role in the family. I mean, very important. More than some women would ever know. Some women think it's not important because now society teaches a woman, okay, you can have you can make the father pay child support, you can get you another man, and you got these 2 incomes, so you all right, you ain't got to worry about nothing, it's a win-win. No, it's not a win-win. You don't know who's bringing in your house, you don't know what they're going to try to do to your kids. They not, you know, most of the time, they're not going to love your kid like their real father would, you know, and stuff like that. It's just all kind of things that can be a factor in that. So I would say a father's everything. And I ain't saying like all mothers ain't good and all fathers ain't good. But family value is everything. If you can hold it together, hold it together. And sometimes we look for Mr. Right, women and men. We look for Mr. Perfect and Miss Perfect. Ain't nobody perfect. No. You got to learn to take the bitter with the sweet sometimes. And you got to look out for your kids. You got to look at the bigger picture. You know, you can have fun right now. Fun for a moment ain't going to last. Later on, you got to look at reality, the damage you could be doing to your kids. So I say a father is everything. I'm going to let them talk, but fathers are important.
Yeah, fathers are important. It's rough as a guy growing up. Well, we was kind of fortunate in one way. Me and Don are the oldest boys, so we twins, we winged off we learned a lot from each other. We talk about everything, we do everything. Then we have our younger brothers. So then we would protect our younger brothers. You know what I'm saying? We ain't let nobody mess with our younger brothers. But like how to tie a tie, to this day my wife ties my tie. I don't even know how to tie a tie. Things like that. But I'm just saying, it's important, but my mother, she kept us without having, I'm just giving her credit because she kept us in music classes. She took us, had us in the Y, taking karate classes. She had us involved in everything. Our grandparents were spiritual in church and stuff, so they would get us all the time and take us to church. We had aunts and uncles. We had a lot of family members that looked out for us, you know, take us to school, pick us up from school or whatever, go over there until next door neighbor, going over their house until she gets home, you know, so she done the best she could, but a father, I think it's important, and like with me, with my children, I definitely want to, by not having our father in our life the way it should have been, I've always been close to our children, and I make sure that I'm there for them, because I want to protect them and make sure they're okay. Even, it's just, that's important. I'll give it to you.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a tough question for me because I never lived in a house growing up. Not until later, I never had a father figure living in the house.
Yeah.
And
yeah, we had to step in as y'all father.
Right.
And that's what I was gonna say. You know, it's interesting you say that because people. I remember somebody asking me. I don't know if it was elementary school or junior high. I was young though, and somebody asked me about not having pops at home, and I was like, it was like my first time having to think about it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't think about it because moms was filling so many roles.
Yeah.
I was sitting here thinking, you know, she threw the football with us, raced with us, kung fu, karate chop with us, taught us, fed us. So she checked a lot of boxes, but I think the older male figures came through having older brothers. Brothers who were 6 years old, and even though y'all wasn't always on the right track. It was just a lot of lessons. To this day, I'm right-handed, but I write like I'm left-handed because John taught me how to write, and John writes left-handed. You know what I mean? So,
Wow.
I just don't have the experience of having a father in the household to miss in the first place.
Yeah.
But though, now that I'm older and I recognize family dynamics and the benefits of having both parents, I don't have biological children of my own, but my stepkids, when I raised them from young, I saw the importance of my presence as a strong parental figure in that household that was necessary.
Yes, yes.
When their moms was doing other things, sick or at work or whatever, I knew I wanted to be that presence that was there as the guiding figure of the household. Because I recognize the importance of having more than one parent in the household.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. There's one thing for sure, children will play you. You know, and if you just mama and they feel like they can get over on mama, you know, that'll happen. But if you got pops in the house, then that stern voice. I even think about my grandson. I have a grandson with disabilities, and his dad was there. I think was the first day of school to be able to see him off, and so his dad, he was cutting up, and his dad said, "You're being extra." It's just a deep voice, You know, said, "You've been extra today, Antoine." And Antoine's shift, I was like, I told my daughter, I said, I can see the shift. Just, it's like he, even with disabilities, he knows I can get over on mama. Mama will give me what I want. But when I hear daddy, and he lights up every time his mom will say something about daddy, he'll just light up. He lights up. So yeah, I do know the strong force that a father can have in a home.
Right.
Did you want to chime in?
This is kind of tough, to explain, I guess. But, my experience with not having a father, in the house, it was, I never knew what it was like. I never, and I don't remember, much when we lived out in the East End. So when we moved out, and I thank God for our moms, she did it like no other.
Yes.
But coming out to moving to Tate's Creek, going to Tate's Creek, you're going with most of the kids, they're two-family households. And I went through a period where I was questioning a bunch of things, as far as like trying to figure out why, our father wasn't around and this and that. And at a young age, I just, come to realize that mom's is taking on the role of the mother and the father, and she's doing it.
Yeah.
And I was at home a lot longer than you all. So I remember a lot of tough lessons that moms. I remember it was early in in elementary when we first moved out there. I'm getting chased home from school, and, because it wasn't as diverse of an area when we first moved there.
Right.
And then I remember busting through the front door, and moms was like, what are you doing, boy? What's going on, this and that? And I was out of breath. I was like, they chasing me. And she looked out the door, and there was about 5 or 6 of them. And she was mad. She was like, you better get your butt out there and fight, and you better not lose. And then Mark Speaks. He walked over, and he was like, come on down here, Kendrick. He was like, I won't let him jump you. And then, I'm not wanting to fight. I wasn't a fighter. You know what I'm saying?
Not yet.
Not yet. I think that this day is when it started. I think this day is when it started. But she made me go back outside, and I beat this boy down, and I think I fought every day since. And I tell people, I tell even my kids, I'm like, look, we were forced to fight, when we was out in Tate's Creek because of I guess the dynamic of the races and whatnot. I was like, we were forced to fight, but I said, we didn't want to at first, but then we started getting good, and then we liked to fight, and then it got to the point, I have, these 3, as far as the father figures, I'm looking up to them, and they were doing the same thing. So I thought, fighting was the way to handle any and all things. And that's what I did.
Yeah.
And you know, at a point, I had, well, Coach Johnson, he, you know, because I was fighting every day. He came up to, he called me in his cage, and he was like, you can't. Are you gonna fight everybody? He said, are you gonna fight everybody? He was like, you can't fight everybody. He was like, cause now people just want to fight you just to say that they fought you, you know, and they know they're gonna lose, you know. But you know, that was when, you know, I was gaining a little status on the football field and track and this and that, and I guess it became like a trophy to get, you know, I guess to get beat up by us, you know, you know what I'm saying? So you know, getting back on track. I mean, you know, not having a father, it was pivotal. I mean, because, and I always said, you know, just looking back, you know, I there's a bunch of questions and whatnot, and the older I got, you know, I realized a lot of the areas that, although moms was doing it all, that a father's touch was needed. You know, some of those sharp corners as a young man could have been avoided if I had a father figure in the house. You know, but you know, and I always, you know, when I say my prayers, you know, I thank God for giving us such a wise and strong and you know just what is it, just a caring mother that just was equipped with so many talents. But on the second hand, I thank the Lord for even the absent father, you know, because without him it would be no me. You know what I'm saying? So I thank him, and you know, I go on to you know, the realization of the things where he was needed. I know the areas that I can teach my kids, you know, that, you know, to be strong and, you know, and growing up watching them, you know, it, you know, John was he always smiled and cut up, but Don, he didn't smile. You know, he didn't smile. He didn't, you know, he was stone cold, you know, 24/7.
Yeah.
So I think I got my comedic side from John, but you know, I was nonstop, stone cold from Don. Yeah, and then you know, where Don and John, they bounced a bunch of, you know, they bounced everything off each other. That was me and John, you know. So you know, we were closer coming up, and you know, I guess, you know, like they bounced things off. John and I did the same. You know,
Van and Angela done the same.
yeah, Van and Angela did. Yeah, y'all did the same. So losing that partner, yeah, it's tough. But it was tough. It was tough because I never understood, and you know, just thinking of my kids, you know, I don't see how someone, you know, a part of you, someone could not want to be a part of something that you created or helped create. You know, how you could not want to be a part of that. And so, you know,
that's where addictions come in.
yeah. And see,
That's where what comes up.
Addictions like
yeah.
substance, like our father was sick with became an alcoholic, and it messes up your thinking.
Right.
It ain't like what's natural ain't natural.
Right. And see, I never, you know, it's the only memories I remember of him is like when we were over at grandmama's, you know, he would come in and strictly talk to grandmama and granddaddy. I don't ever remember having a conversation with him. You know, and even if I did, I don't, you know,
Remember?
yeah, I don't remember, you know, so yeah, it was deep.
Yeah, it's wild because I remember a couple of times moms taking me and you to find Daddy John somewhere down on 3rd Street because he was yeah, he was down there somewhere drinking. But I remember though, she dropped us off with him one time, and I think he might have taken us to get haircuts. Yeah. But I remember walking with him and being little and just holding on to his his index finger, and I think you was on the other side just holding his finger, just walking.
Wow.
Wow.
But that's almost the only memory I have of him.
Right.
And I want to say something you can do.
Yeah.
Okay. And another thing, I think the father figures in the house is really is important. And I'm going to the building, okay?
Please.
So also, as we got older, when my parents split up, also my mom engaged in an affair with. We found out that Jahi has a different father. You found out when you were 18 or something. At some age.
Earlier than that. It was in high school though.
But along the way, when my father was out of the picture, he still loved my mother, wanted to be with her, but he would waste his money. He wasn't taking care of responsibility, so she had to do what she had to do. He still loved us. He would come and get us and stuff and all that, but it was just, he didn't drive. We moved out Taste Creek, so we would see him at our grandmother's house more so after that, or when we got older, he had his own place. We would go see him, but we didn't see him a lot, like, you know. But anyway, it's important to have a father figure in the house. So my mother entered into a relationship with who ended up being Jahi's father, we found out. We didn't know that at the time, but he was dating my mom, and we didn't like it, you know. We didn't want no other man in our house and stuff like that. So he's coming to see my mom, and you know, when a woman and man's messing around and the woman got kids, they ain't, most of the time, they ain't really studying the kids. They there having an affair or whatever they want to do, you know. So Billy was like, you know, tell us, you know, I guess he was being respectful, trying to get us out of the way, you know, like, hey, y'all got something to do, something y'all can be doing or whatever, you know, and all that old stuff, you know. We little kids, right? You know, so he putting us outside and stuff, you know, not in a bad way, but I'm just saying he did. But we didn't like him because we wanted our father and mother to be together. And I remember my father knocking on the back door one day in the projects, and Billy was in the house, and he hid behind the door, Billy. And I remember that, you know, Billy had a knife and stuff. I guess he didn't know what was going to happen. Thank God my dad didn't force his way in. I know that he might have knew he was there, I don't know. But he didn't come in, so everything went smooth. That could have been a bad day, you know, stuff like that. But as time went on, we didn't want, Billy would tell us stuff. So they ended up dating for a long time, you know, off and on. And so Billy would try to tell us stuff, and we didn't want to hear nothing about what you guys say. We didn't take to him. He was trying to tell us stuff, give us advice. Over time, we ended up listening to him. First, I didn't like him at all at first. And I'm like, when I get older, I'm going to get you, you know, and all that. I remember telling him that. And I got older, and I guess him and my mom hooked back up. They went their way and hooked back up at a point. And so I respected if he made her happy, I respected that. So then, even when we was younger, he was a painter and stuff. So he would take me and Don and take us out. And he would do side jobs, painting. He would take us, and we taught us how to take the plates off the walls. We get shocked and stuff, taking them off. Or he's painting the house or whatever. He done a lot of work, and he took us with him, made money. We made some money and stuff. So he taught us a lot of stuff. We didn't like him, but we still listened to him. You know, we took in what we wanted, what we didn't, we didn't. But we learned from him in the process. So he helped us. He was a father figure when we look back on it. He helped us, and along the way, because like our work ethics, we learned how to do stuff now, and we learned how to work on houses. He done all of that, so we learned a lot of that from him. He had a lot of people he did work for. Even when I was doing ceramic tile and stuff, he'd hook me up with his partners and different ones and all of that. So I learned from him. So at the same time, I'm getting to this. So it's important that a woman, she had a man. He didn't. I didn't like him. I didn't care for him and stuff. But he was okay. We got by that stage. But I was rebellious towards him when we was coming up. When we got older, I respected him and I liked him. Same thing. So I went into a phase. I got married. So as I got older, I was with another lady at the time. I had 2 kids on her by somebody. I wasn't married to her, but I had 2 kids. And the woman I was with told me, wanted me to pay child support. Don't spend time with your kids. I ain't with you to take care of nobody else's kids. And I cheated on her. She cheated on me and stuff. So I got 2 daughters, and she wanted me to not spend time with my kids, but just pay money on them. And I'm like, no. By my father not being in my life, I'm like, no. I told her, I made a mistake. I'm sorry, but I'm the one that created this. I'm going to be there for them their whole life. You don't have to deal with it if you don't want to, but I have to, and I'm going to. So that relationship ended, because of, that. I had to make a choice, my kids. So I've been in their life the whole time. I wasn't with their mother, but I took care of my kids. I paid them child support, this and that. I ended up getting married to Janetta Fishback. Janetta, she had 2 boys. I had 2 girls. So her 2 boys, she had them when we met. So then I learned a lot from that. Was interesting. When we got together, her kids, they took to me at first. Then, they had a father too. And then their father, I guess, it was a situation where, I guess he didn't like the situation. So then he put pressure on the boys. And then they would call me daddy at first. And then they got to the point, he was like, don't call him daddy. He ain't y'all's daddy and all this stuff. So then they started calling me Mr. John. So I never forced anything on them. They done it on their own. So then they were scared of the, pressure between me and the daddy, the real daddy. So they started calling me Mr. John. Okay, I respect that. So at the same time, then they wanted their mother and father to be together too. So there was some resistance in there. And I seen it and I understood it. I totally understood it. And I even told them, I sit them down and I talk to them individually, collectively. And like that, I understand. I know where you at. I was like that, and I explained to them what I went through, how my mother and my father split up, and I wanted them together. I would tell them that. But anyway, as time went on, I went through a lot of rejection and rebellion because of that situation, for them wanting their father and mother together. But I still was there with them and for them, even though we had some good times, we had some bad times, but I was still there for them. My wife worked at nights. So I would take them to their school. I'd take them to their ball games. I was there for them, even with the whatever we went through. The teachers would maybe treat them bad or do something if I thought it was wrong. And I don't go against teachers, when they say your kid's doing this and that. But when the teachers are clearly wrong, like they wanted to put Tay in special ed, I'm like, no, he's not going to special ed. So I helped them with their homework because my wife worked at night. So we advanced, and he went on and went to college and everything, you know what I'm saying? So I stood there with them through all of that. And I was a father there to them. One of our sons passed away a couple of years ago, and they're just like my sons, no matter what, We had some times we bumped heads and some times we didn't, but we good, and I love them just like they're my sons. And so I'll just say that when someone gets with when a woman wants to marry a man, make sure stick by. You gotta watch guys. Make sure that get your man that loves God or whatever. Everybody ain't into God, but I'm saying God's real for me. I know this, but I'm saying get somebody. Don't let nobody disrespect your kids or beat them up in there. But that they need a man. A man and a woman think different. So as long as the man's not abusing or doing discord to your children stick by that man and trust that they need that, because the man's gonna be, only a man can teach a boy to be a man. So you have to be careful. That's all.
Let me
I'm
say
saying.
something.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I like that. I'm glad he got on that. And I have to say this because I was thinking about the same thing. He said something important. When we talking about the absence of a father, just like Jahi had a different father, right? So his father came in the picture in a relationship with our mother. We didn't like it whatsoever. None. Just like my brother said. We gave him total resistance. But we was young, and I mean, he was painting, like he said, and he taught us, he took us when he did paint jobs, and when he did different things like that. Don't you know, like 2 weeks ago, I'm painting my house right now. I've painted every room but 3 rooms left. And the other day, it's funny that this came up because I was like, oh, Billy. Because I remember I couldn't paint. I remember he was trying to teach me, and I had paint everywhere, and I was mad. He told me, paint this way, I do this. I would not listen. I'm like, I ain't listening to you. And I remember that in the beginning. But now, look, I'm talking about, when I say I painted a whole house now, and I had to say it the other day, 2 weeks ago, I said, look what old Billy done taught me. So that's the importance of not just a father, a male role in the house. You know, something that he can give to a man, to a child. A father plays an important role. I mean, I'm like blown away at the work I did. I'm like, and I had to give him credit. Nobody was around. I said, look at old Billy.
Yeah.
I'm painting. You know.
Yeah.
So
Two things real quick. He was my father, and I ain't even want him around either. Moms, you did.
right.
But it was all about being selfish and wanting moms all to ourselves rather than her being in a relationship.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, looking back now, I'm like, man, should have let her have, you know, have her kids and the relationship she wanted. And second thing, you know, it became official when I was in junior high, senior high, that we knew he was my pops, but we knew way before then.
Yeah.
Because, you know, little cat and Pampers, I was looking kind of different from y'all, but looked dead on the dude up the street.
Right.
Yeah.
And y'all teasing me when I was little, you didn't help, you did. Billy's your daddy.
I didn't know we did that. Okay.
You know you did it.
Yeah, so it became official later, but we knew it was kind of different. I'm glad you brought that up, because when we was talking about having a father in the household, I was wondering how or if I should even introduce that into this conversation, but you said it's all transparent. So now I'm gonna flip it on you as an interviewer. I guess you're part of this too. What's your answer to that question about
The absence of a father.
the absence of a father in the household, how it affected you?
Yeah, I was going to elaborate, but
Okay, good, thanks.
It had an effect on me. I don't know if the TV role of a family played a part in what I thought a family should look like, and I craved, and I craved a father being in the home. It makes you look, as a female, makes you look for love wherever I can get it. I want to feel loved. Why isn't my father here? Where is he at? Am I not valued enough? It does affect your self-esteem, all of that. But what it also did for me, it made me hang on in my marriage. I've been married for 43 years, in some bad times, because I wanted my kids to have, I'm determined, y'all gonna have both parents. Y'all gonna, you know, if it kills me, y'all gonna have both parents. And so, you know, and my husband will tell you, we've had our ups and downs in marriage, but I hung on because I wanted them to see what it looks like, because I didn't have that. So that really, I mean, my husband can thank my dad for not, you know, hey, thank you. Because it just made me, I'm not going anywhere, because I want them to have mom and dad in the home, raised in the home. Yeah, that's what they did for me.
So, I mean, and this might be off topic, but me and Danita was riding yesterday, and the GPS said to turn left on Keene Avenue.
Yeah.
And I said, wow, that's Van's maiden name is Keene, because her pops is a Keene. And so we were trying to figure out his relationship to Keene and Keene land. And
It's somewhere in there. I haven't done any real digging, but it's somewhere related. Yeah. I would. Yeah. I'd love to be able to tap into that.
Yes, yes. Monetarily.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Good conversation, guys. I'm gonna cut it short. I'm gonna ask just one more question, and then we can end it. Tell me about 3 most influential people in your life and how they impacted you. Just give me 3 and how they impacted you.
Okay. My 3 is 1 is your mother. Like, in times of living in, you gotta pray. When times get tough, I'll be like, sometimes you just be so bogged down you forget, and I'll be like, hey Betty, that's what I call it. When I was a child, how she took us every night, and we got down on the bed, and she taught us to pray. And that was important to me, and I'll never forget her, even to this day. Like, last night, even I get down, and I remember hey Betty. I even got in the middle of the bed, my spot. I try to get in my position and picture myself in the projects in that bedroom, how we was lined up, praying. And so that was influential. I'll never forget it. Number 2 was, I would have to say, my grandparents, because the faith they had in God and how they took, everybody's grandkids. It seemed like all the cousins was at their house. They took in, they loved everybody. But I noticed they had a love for like the oldest child in each family, like Angela. Like the oldest, most times the oldest child in each family, they just spoiled rotten. But they spoiled us all rotten. But the love they had for the family, that was influencing. That stays with me. Because as you know, throughout my years, I keep a house full of kids. I kept a house full of kids. I'm getting older now, so I don't have the tolerance. But still, I love the kids in the family. So that was important. And I have to bypass everybody and go to Mom, because Mom was mother, father, everything. I'm like, how did she deal, like, some of the problems that we go through? I was like, how did she put up with all of us? Because I got kids now. And you think when your kids get older, you think they grown and troubles are over. They gonna go on and they got their own life. When they was kids, that was simple. It's like when they got older.
Yeah.
But I'm like, and I remember being older, having kids, and we all running to Mom's, and she's dealing with all our problems and holding it together. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
So, it just blew my mind. Those are my 3. I have to, there's others like Big Sister and all that, but the top 3, I have to go for my life. There you go.
Well, 3 is, I'm tapping into the ones he said, so I won't use those same names. I'm going to say Aunt Pearl, Aunt Mary, Aunt Elsie Bowman, Elsie Smoot, and I say it's so many, but like, for example, Aunt Pearl would watch us. She didn't have kids of her own, so she always kept us and took us to school. Whenever Mom couldn't do something, she was there for us, and she even asked Mom to let her adopt us, and so Moms wouldn't. So then she ended up adopting Betty and Janice. But she's always loved us, and she ain't the only one. All of our aunts and uncles, every one of them loved us and stuff. But Aunt Elsie, I say Elsie because I say Aunt Myrrh too, because Aunt Myrrh, we was over her house. All of our aunts were the same. We loved all of them. But Elsie, I say her, she's on, because Elsie, like I said, Billy taught us how to do stuff with our hands and work and stuff. But Elsie, like the TV channel would have static in it and everything we done, Elsie would always say something positive. And she would say, oh, them boys, they so good with their hands. Oh, they know how to fix everything. She's just buttering us up, but it gave me the confidence. Elsie, she's the one that just gave me so much confidence that I could do anything just by always telling me that, always saying that. And it just, I knew I just wanted to fix stuff because that just helped me do it. And there's so many to name that giving names is just, it's hard.
That's the truth. That's the truth. I mean, y'all said it, but I gotta say, moms. I mean, just.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about it plenty here, but just her influence in terms of, I didn't always treat the women friends and girlfriends that I had with respect, but it was always in the back of my head the influence of my mother as a woman, that made me respectful of women and women's roles.
Yeah.
And mom, she just, I mean, she did with all of us, but right now, you know, talking about me, just made me feel like I could do anything I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Anything I put my mind to do, I could do it. And she just instilled that confidence from, you know, day one. It's hard to go beyond that because so many people come to mind, from Ange to y'all as siblings. I already mentioned how I write look like I'm left-handed because John taught me. But I gotta, you know, give a shout out to the deceased Michael Ducille. Y'all never met him, but it was the dude who hired me at the Washington Post. Just because he ended up being like a sort of a father figure in that he hired me as a photographer, but there were so many nuggets of wisdom that he gave me about working hard and showing up early, even though I have trouble with that. Showing up early and staying late and handling every responsibility while you're doing it.
Yeah.
Dotting all your I's and crossing all your T's. So that's my three. Moms, y'all, siblings, and Michael Ducey.
Yeah. The three, probably in this order too, is God for bringing me through so many things.
Yeah.
And I've been through some trials and tribulations in my life, and I, you know, like the day, you know, and this is starting, you know, not in any particular order, but, you know, the day that I walked out of the hospital when you were there, I mean, my vision, I mean, I heard him clearly, you know, and, you know, specific orders, what, you know, like my life, you know, and what to value and this and that and this and that. And, you know, I've had my struggles all through my life, you know, and he was there, you know.
Yeah.
So I got to give it to him, and then him for the influence that he had on moms. Because moms was truly God-fearing, you know, and she instilled that in us, you know. And then probably you all equally, including Ange, you know, because I've got some of all of you all, you know, influence me, you know, and which makes me me, you know, to this day, you know. So I appreciate you all and I love you, and just know that I am who I am because, you know, a big part because of you all. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. And for me, my three are, and I want to say their names: Betty Lee Stewart. That's my mom, and she taught me. It wasn't really teaching me. Well, it was teaching me, but she told me every day. I don't know if she knew that she would pass away when I was just 9 years old, but she told me every day, I love you. I love you. I heard it every day. And so with that, I'm able to tell my kids every day, every time I talk to them, just about, I love you. And it's not, and I understand, it's not what you say, it's what you do, but I would like to think that I do show them, but then I follow it up. I want them to know it. I love you. And so that's one thing I appreciate. She taught me stuff that a lot of, now I think people are so much advanced, but taught me to do things, how to wash clothes, separate clothes, things like that, that a lot of times we don't teach them, little bitty girls that, but I always said it, like, maybe she knew. I knew how to comb my hair by the time she passed away. Maybe she knew, I don't know. But yeah, her telling me, and hearing it, I got to hear it. I love you. Also, and I'm gonna say this. I know I don't want to take a whole lot of time, but I remember, and I can specifically say when it was, because it was a baby shower for Anissa. She's 17 now, so it was 17 years ago. But 17 years ago, I had this dream, and in this dream, Mom came back, and I was running around. I was so excited to see her, and I could actually hear her voice. And I was saying, Mom, you won't believe, I took her through town. I said, you won't believe what Lexington looks like now. Took her downtown where Learners used to be, where Woolworth used to be. I'm like, that's not there anymore. Just going through all of that. And then I took her to you all. And I said, look at him. I said, do you know who that is? And I'm pointing, and we're just looking as if, you all couldn't see us, but we could see you all. Do you all? Wow. And I'm telling her what each of you all are doing. I think I shared this with you a long time ago. And I said, you would be so proud of them. And that's what I told her. I said, naming each thing each one was doing. And she said, what are you doing? And so I told her, what I was doing at the time. And, I'm praise and worship leader at my church. And, naming all the things I was doing. And she said, I'm proud of you. And oh God, when I woke up out of that dream, let me go back to sleep, Right. But I shared that dream actually with a group at Anissa's baby shower, because they had it here, so we were sitting at the kitchen table. And she leaned over and she said, you know what? She said it for me. She said, I wanted to tell you, I'm so proud of you. So I mean, all of that, so I'm gonna say her name. Arnetta Fishback, and what she taught me was a work ethic. My husband tells me, you just go nonstop, but a work ethic, like you sit back and watch her like, oh my goodness, but she was able to go. I mean, I know she would laugh and told me about the cleaning thing, how that turned out. When she was doing the offices and that stuff, but we laughed about that. But just get up and go. I gotta get it. I can't just lay in bed when stuff has to be done. And so that does it for me. So I get up early and I go nonstop. And my husband will say, "Are you gonna slow down? Sit down, just sit." But it's like a drive. I gotta do. I gotta get it done. It's gotta be done. And then Mary Booker, and for her, she taught me to pray. She taught me to pray and seek God for those things that seem impossible, and just watch Him work. And those are the three who influenced my life. I appreciate you all today, sharing with me and being with us. Hopefully you all got something out of this and will find a benefit. I appreciate them and their life experience. All right, we'll sign off. Any last words, anybody? All right. Thank you all for joining us. time.